Hi everyone, it's Kay Kalthoff and welcome to a Stampin' Chat with Kay. We are going to do 2 cards today, and the reason I chose only to do 2 instead of 3 is because both of them are kind of heavy cards in that the little simple stamping card has a technique. We're going to be working with brusho, so that can be a little experimental, so we'll see how that goes. I'm going to teach you something to help you contain your brusho so it's not like too crazy when you put water on it. And then the second card that we're going to, well, and they both use the Piece of Cake bundle, which is new to our Occasions catalog. The second card just has lots of layers, and there's a couple of things that we do on the Big Shot machine, and we're going to use the Stamparatus, and I thought, oh my goodness, I don't want to have an hour-long Facebook Live, hoping to keep it within a half an hour to 40 minutes, so we'll see how that goes. So hello, welcome. It's nice to see you all here. Yay! I see some of my downline members on. I see some of my customers and some of my faithful watchers. I see some people on who are already sharing. You know my routine, don't you? So if you make a comment or you share this video on your Facebook news feed, you get to be in my drawing, so be sure to let me know that you've shared. Michelle has already done that. Thank you. Or not Michelle, I'm sorry. Christine has already done that. Thank you, Christine. And you get in a drawing. Yay! So the drawing this time is going to be for some ribbon that we're using on our card, and it's our Real Red 3/8 inch cotton ribbon. And I love working with it. It's really easy to work with, easy to make bows with. So that's what I'll give away, 2 yards of each. And oh goodness, we have so many people joining us. Thank you so much. It's great to have you here. I'm starting off all of my videos this year telling you about something that makes me happy. And today I'm going to tell you, and I think you know that this makes me happy because I love sharing it, and I love talking about it, and I love showing you, and that is when I go out to my mailbox and I find hand-stamped cards in my mailbox. Oh, so fantastic. So thank you to so many of you who send me cards or thank you cards. I love to send cards to my customers, and I'm always amazed how many lovely customers send cards to me. And then I, of course, have a wonderful downline group, and they also seem to love to flood my mailbox with cards. So thank you, you guys. You guys are just amazing, and I would love to get out even more cards than I do, but sometimes I'm just so constrained by time. So I make sure that people placing orders with me, they're my top priority for getting cards out. And then, of course, my downline members, and then, of course, anybody who wins our little Facebook drawings, they definitely get a card from me, and I typically give you the card that is associated with the video from which you've won the drawing from. So anyway, it's great to have you here. Thank you again for joining me. So awesome. So I'm going to flip the camera down, and I'm going to show you a couple of cards that arrived in my mailbox. And then we'll get started with making the cards from the Piece of Cake bundle. So let me flip it down and we'll get started. I have my cord kind of flipping around here. I was all ready to do my Facebook Live and then realized that my phone was not very charged up, so I have it plugged in. So just a little bit more monkey business here, and then we'll get ready to start. Get this kind of set up so it's nice and where it should be, which means I have to move things. And then we'll bring this up a little bit more. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started now. So let me share some of the cards I got in my mailbox. And one of them is a card from my downline member. Her name is Diana Wilson, and she is from Sioux City, Iowa. And I have to show you this gorgeous card she made me. So this is a Christmas card, and it was kind of nice to see that it was a little bit late because some of my Christmas cards are going out late as well. So this is the Christmas card she made for me, and it uses the stamp set that's called Star of Light along with the coordinating framelets. And I think she had said, she posted some pictures on our downline group page sharing that she, I think, had cased this card, but had made some changes. And so I love that. I mean, casing, that's where you find another card and you just kind of copy it or change a few things to make it more you. And I love doing that. I do it myself all the time. So when you open it up, it says Star of Wonder, Star of Night, and then of course it has all of this lovely stuff up here, another sentiment up here, and all these cute little stars and sparkles. But what's really stellar about this card is that you tuck this little flap into a little slit that she made here with an X-Acto knife, and then the card sort of pops open like this. So when you display it, and it's kind of hard to show you on camera when you display it, but it looks, well, I guess I have to hold it like this. It looks like this when it's on display. Sorry about that. I got that goofed up. But yes, isn't it beautiful? So thank you so much, Diana Wilson. This will be on display in my studio probably all spring, all summer. I mean, I just love this card. It is so beautiful. So this really makes my heart happy. And another card that came in my mailbox was from another downline member. This is from my assistant, Lily. And look at this gorgeous card. She created a thank you card for a little gift certificate that I gave her because not only is she my downline member, but she's also one of my assistants. So I really appreciate all the work that she does for me throughout the year. She used the Star of Light stamp set again, and that favorite swooshy star design that you can see up here. She stamped it in the Whisper White, and then she used Lovely as a Tree. I love seeing fresh ideas for Lovely as a Tree. And then she took a sponge and created a nice snowy ground. She has the denim ribbon, which we had a few years ago. I love the I can't even say it, the denim ribbon. And I remember that Lily told me she loved it too, and I remember her saying that she was going to stock up on it, and obviously she did because she's still using it a couple of years later. And then a thank you. So she also decorated the inside, but I'm not going to show you that just because she wrote a really nice personal note in there. So I'm going to keep that private. But it is such a beautiful card. So thank you so much, Lily. I just love it. And the third card in my mailbox since we last had a Stampin' Chat was this beauty. And my birthday's coming up. It's coming up on January 15th. And so this beautiful card was created by Carol Sullivan, who is one of my downline members in Florida. So it's so awesome to have these downline members all over the country. And of course, we have such a great new Stamper starter kit right now. So if you would like to be in my downline group, if you're one of my customers or regular orderers, you know, I sure encourage you to give Stampin' Up! A test drive. This is made with the Tuscan stamp set that is in our catalog, and she at first, I thought these were bottles of beer when I first just opened it up and glanced at it, because maybe I spent too much time in the bar this weekend. We were on a big snowmobile run. We actually did 90 miles on Saturday. And so we hit a couple of bars on the, during our big ride. And I just looked at that and thought, oh my gosh, look at all those beer bottles. But then after I looked at it closer, I realized these are corks, not beer bottles. You can see where my mind was. And no, I wasn't drinking wine this weekend. I was drinking beer. However, I do enjoy a good glass of wine, and we did have some really nice wine over Christmas. So this is a really pretty card, and I love it. She, of course, used the Big Shot in a couple of places, and she did some stamping and some fussy cutting, and it's just beautiful. And then she's got the little birthday sentiment down here and some embellishments, and it's just lovely. So thank you so much, Carol Sullivan, for mailing me a nice early birthday card. I really love it. All right, so now let's go on to the cards we're going to make today. This is the card we're going to make with Brusho, and it's one of those simple stamping cards, as you can see. I'm going to teach you a technique for keeping that Brusho contained. So this will be the first card that we make. The second card that we make is going to be this one, and we're going to make kind of a February birthday card. So for those of you that have friends in February that have birthdays, this will be a nice card to make. And so I'll have all the measurements for you and things like that. And I have to tell you, let me grab out the piece of cake bundle here. It looks like this. And as demonstrators, one of the perks of being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrators, we do get to have pre-orders, which means we get to order things before our customers do and then play with them ahead of time. So I think that is about the greatest perk you can have. And it's one of the reasons I joined Stampin' Up! I couldn't stand seeing all those things that everybody got to use and I had to wait for. So anyway, this is the piece of cake bundle. It comes with a stamp set that has all these wonderful cakes and a couple of different cake toppers, a little cake stand, and then a whole bunch of sentiments. I mean, even some kind of funny ones. And actually this card uses one of those funnier sayings. So it says, cake is the answer. And then when you open it up, who cares what the question is? So I just think that is so cute. And then of course, you can do birthday cards, or you can do, there's even a wedding cake you could do with this. So wedding cards could be an option for you as well. So lots of fun. So that is the stamp set that we're going to use. And this is Brusho. Brusho is one of those really kind of artsy-fartsy things that we enjoy as crafters. And so I have a few different colors here. There's 5 colors total that come in the Brusho set. And I'm going to use the one called Gamboge. They have a little bit of a cheat sheet on the side so you can see for sure what color all of these are. So this is yellow. We have a red one. Here's one that's blue. And this one, oh my goodness, they call it mossy green, but it's kind of greenish and purple. So lots of fun things that you can do, but I'm going to use kind of the yellow-orange one, which is called Gamboge. And what they recommend is that you just take a little thumbtack or something and put a hole in the top, and then I just have, you can leave the thumbtack in there, but I don't, because I don't have those flat thumbtacks, and I don't like the way my box doesn't close if I have a thumbtack in it. So my deal is I just take a little piece of Scotch tape and cover that hole, because that will keep the Brusho contained in the bottle. You never actually want to open these bottles and expose the product, because it is a very fine powder and it would just be a huge mess for you. So we'll try to not do that. All right, so let me grab a couple of things here. Let's see. We are going to be using our Whisper White note cards and envelopes. So this is a 3.5 by 5 inch card that we're making today. So let me just grab one of these Whisper White note cards, and I'm just going to fold it in half. These are already pre-scored, so it just kind of saves you a step. You don't have, actually it saves you a couple of steps. You don't have to cut it, and you don't have to score it. You just get to fold and stamp, which is wonderful. Then we're going to open it up, and I've got just a little piece of scrap paper here, and we're going to put this on one side because we don't really need to be getting Brusho over here on the left side. So we're just going to cover that up. Then we're going to take our Brusho, and I'm just removing the tape, and I'm going to flip it over and just gently pat the back of it like so. And make a nice little sprinkle right here about where we would think our cake would be when we stamp the cake. Then we're going to carefully put the tape back onto that little hole and set that aside. All right, now this is, I don't know if anyone's ever done this before, but I am doing it and it works really well. So I've got just a piece of Kleenex here that I've folded in half. And I am going to take my spritzer that has some H2O in it, so some water, and we're just going to spritz my Kleenex. All right? We're going to take that spritzed Kleenex, turn it upside down, put it over the top of the Brusho, and just gently press. We can even spritz it a little bit more if we want to. And then when we pull it away, we should have some Brusho that is adhering nicely to the card. Yes, and it stays all within one area, so it's not such a crazy town thing that happens when you spritz directly onto your card. So this is super nice. So if you enjoy this idea of sort of containing your brusho rather than having it going scatter everywhere, give me a like or a heart so that I know that you appreciate this technique. So then what we do is we just set this aside, and we're going to grab an envelope, and we're going to decorate the outside of our envelope. So I would want to stamp a little something or other right here. So I'm just going to take my Kleenex that has this spritzing on it, and I'll just set it down here and give it a pat. And we've just decorated a tiny little corner of our envelope with the spritzing. So I think that's pretty cool. I hope that you do too. It's kind of a cool little technique. So then we just set this aside to dry. And fortunately for you, I do have one prepared in advance, because you do need to have this dry about 10 or 15 minutes because you want it completely dry before you start stamping on it. So here's one that I did in advance. I'm trying to think, did I prepare an envelope? I don't think I prepared an envelope in advance, but no problem, because by the time we get done with this, we'll be able to stamp our envelope. So this is a photopolymer stamp, so I'm going to grab my Stampin' mat. I'm going to open this up. We're going to set this aside now. I did just kind of use this to protect my work surface from the water or from any spray brusho. So I'm going to set that aside. This is our silicone craft sheet from Stampin' Up, for those of you that are wondering. And this is our Stampin' Pierce mat. So it's great for using with photopolymer stamps. Now both cards today are only going to use one ink color, so we'll just be using Early Espresso. So I'm going to open that up. So for those of you that have never opened up a Stampin' Up ink pad, you just grab it, lift it away like this, and then it's sort of like a little drawer that you push in like this. All right, then we're going to take our sentiment first, and it says cake is the answer, so we're going to ink that up. We're going to set that down here in the lower right. And we'll just let that sit for a second, and there it is. Perfect. Perfect. I love that, don't you, when it's just perfect. Then we're going to take our cake stand. We're going to ink that up, again, with the Early Espresso ink. We're going to stamp that right above cake is the answer. And again, don't pull this away so quickly. I know a lot of you are very tempted to do that, but you want to give the ink just kind of a chance to settle in, and then you just get these really bright, nice looking stamped images. Okie doke. So then the next thing that we're going to do is I just took a cake here. It's kind of a cute little one here. It doesn't necessarily have to be a birthday cake. This is kind of a decorated candy cake. So again, we're just going to stamp it up in Early Espresso, and I am going to have to stand up and sort of hoover this over the top or move this a little bit down because I need to see exactly where I'm stamping. Well, keep your fingers crossed that this cake will not be floating over the top of the cake stand. It was a little hard to see with the camera directly in my way, but we'll see how we do. Oh, it's perfect. I tell you, today is a magical day. Everything's going just perfectly. So here it is. Can you even stand it? How good is that? Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is take these cute little lollipops. We're going to ink that up. Oh dear, I've got to do the same thing now. I got to stamp this so it's right directly on top of the cake. So I think I'll stand up again. We'll see how it goes. Okay, hopefully that's not hovering over the cake. We want it to actually be attached to the cake. So let's, oh my goodness, you guys, this is my stellar day. I can't believe it. I haven't made any mistakes today. So there it is. It's looking fantastic. You all must think I'm the perfect stamper. I like to think so, at least for a few minutes. I'm sure now that I've said that, something will prove me wrong very quickly. Let's go ahead and stamp that envelope now. So I did that sweet little bit of decoration with the brusho down here. And we're going to take the little candies And we'll, again, ink that up with early espresso, and we'll just stamp some of those right there. Just something sweet in the corner. And then our last little step is to stamp the inside. Let's make sure we don't get it upside down. So the outside says cake is the answer, and then on the inside it's going to say who cares what the question is. So we'll just put that in, and we'll hopefully line that up well. I like to go, about a third of the way down the middle, or third of the way down the card panel to stamp sentiments on the inside. There it is. It looks great. I tell you, what a day. So here it is. Cake is the answer. Who cares what the question is? And we used a method of putting Brusho on our card so that we can somewhat contain it. And I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've really enjoyed making this card with me and that you've learned something new. All right, so let's go on to the next card that we're making. And it is this one here. It's so pretty. I just can't wait to get started with it. So let me get a few things out of the way. And of course, when I do my giveaway now, I am going to give away 2 yards of the real red cotton ribbon, and I'll also be sending the card with it. So that's going to be the giveaway. You get into the giveaway by commenting on this Facebook Live as it happens, or up through Wednesday morning, because Wednesday morning is when I'll do the drawing. And you can either comment or let me know that you've shared this video on your timeline. So there it is. There's a few little techniques that I'm going to tell you because we're working with vellum here, so I have a couple of tips for you for working with vellum. I'm also doing something kind of neat with this card. You'll notice that it's sort of all these different shades of red. So we got real red and we've got cherry cobbler here, which is just such a cool look together. It makes this look very festive and fun, and you could easily make this into a Valentine card. Just put a Valentine sentiment here and on the inside. But we are going to do a birthday card because I actually have 2 daughters that were born in February and I want to make this for their birthdays. And then on the inside, it says, hope this year is a piece of cake. Enjoy every crumb. We have another cake stand on the inside, and then we have a sweet little heart above that as well. So let's get started. We are going to need a few things here. So we're going to be using lots of stuff. So let me just grab my supplies here. The first thing that we have is some real red paper, and I've already cut and scored it, but it's 5.5 by 8.5, and then I've scored it at 4 1/4. Then of course I folded it. I like to take my bone folder and just make sure it's gonna lie flat for us. The next thing that we're going to do is do a couple of big shot things. So I'm gonna bring my big shot into the picture and get that done. Let me see where the other piece is. So we've got a scrap piece of vellum cardstock, and that's our cardstock vellum. And then we have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch panel of cherry cobbler cardstock. So let's go ahead and get the big shot out and run this through the big shot machine. So here's the big shot machine. You know, if you don't have a big shot machine and you're considering it, this is a very sturdy machine, and I think that getting a big shot machine during celebration is a really smart idea, because for every $50 product increment on your order, you get a free celebration reward, or you can combine a couple of those rewards and get an even bigger reward. So it's a great time to buy a big shot for those of you that don't have one and have been considering getting one. So we are going to use the quilt top embossing folder. I like to write the names actually on my folder because I can never remember them. And I always feel so bad. I'm always asking Deb. Deb watches my videos a lot, and she's always having to run to her catalog, or she's just got it memorized. I don't know, but she's always telling me the answer. So I appreciate that. I know she's watching today too. Thanks, Deb. You're such a lifesaver. So here we have the Big Shot platform, and this is without the thin die adapter. Then we're going to just go ahead and put in one of these cut plates, and I have a half a dozen cut plates, so I'm using those all the time. So these are two of my non-cut plates. In other words, I don't actually use them for cutting. I just use them for you know, non-cut, either on the top or running my Big Shot folders through. That way they stay nice and flat. And then I'm just going to put the cut plate, the other cut plate over the top, and we'll run it through the Big Shot. And let's take a look at it. Oh, it's stunning. Absolutely beautiful. So that's one of the fun things to do with a Big Shot machine, is to use embossing folders. Another thing you can use with the Big Shot machine is thinlets. So we are going to use circle layering circles, and that has a lot of circles. So you get all of these straight line circles, and you get all of these scalloped edge circles, and you're just going to take a circle, and I don't know which one it is, but you're going to take a circle that where the cake and the stand fills up about 2/3 of the way. So I think this is probably about 2 1/4 inches if you're going to measure out how big that is. So we're going to take that scrap of vellum cardstock, and now you don't necessarily have to have the magnetic platform, because when you get your Big Shot, you have all the layers that you need in order to use it. But I use framelets and thinlets so often that I prefer to work with my magnetic platform, because it holds those thinlets and framelets in place. Then I have my cut plate. Obviously you can see that I cut on it a lot. And then I'm going to take this scallop circle and just put that there. Then I'll take one of my non-cut plates, a plate I don't actually use to cut with, and I'll run it through, so I use it like a top plate. And then we get a perfectly cut scallop circle. So, you know, one time somebody said to me that they thought this was the best deal in the catalog. And I said, really? You really think the layering circles is the best deal in the catalog? And they said, well, any of the layering products are. And it turns out she was right, because you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different cutouts for $35, which basically is just a little bit more than $2 for each of these dies. And when you think how much punches would cost if you had the equivalent number of punches, she's right. It's probably the best deal in the catalog. So these layering framelets are amazing. All right, and a very good buy. All right, so we are done with the Big Shot. So let me get this out of the way. Here we go. So it's time to continue making our card. So here we have the card base. Now we're going to take this piece, and there's no ribbon wraps or anything. This is the top quilt piece that we just embossed. We'll just take some glue and set this on here. There's no wraps or anything, so we can just glue it straight onto the front of our card, and that's what we're going to do. So you saw how I put the glue on. You really don't need very much. So glue is a very economical choice, especially if you're just getting started stamping. So there's that. Then let's go ahead and dig in this little packet again and see what else we can pull out here. So we've got to do a little stamping too. So we have a little 1/2 inch by 3 inch piece of shimmery white that we're going to stamp our sentiment on. So let me get that. So we're going to also use the Stampin' mat. And we're going to take the one that says, "Happy birthday, you sweet thing." So I'm going to ink that up in early espresso. And then we're going to say a little prayer that this works. Because again, it's hard for me to actually see where I'm stamping, so I'm hoping I'm doing a good job here. So we'll just hold this into place for a second, lift it away. Oh, it's just a teeny bit crooked, but you know what? No one's going to notice that because it's going to be right, the ribbon's going to be right there. So it's going to be awesome. All right, so that worked out pretty good. Then we are going to stamp some scrap wood textured paper. Let me grab, I think I took that. I did. I brought that into the camera here. It's our wood texture 6x6 designer series paper stack. And if you make masculine cards, or if you like a little bit of country on your cards, or you like more neutral backgrounds, oh my goodness, you know, make sure that you get this in your supplies because it's fantastic. So this is kind of crazy town here on the front because, I mean, it's a little intense with all of this huge wood stack. I love it because my dad burns wood to heat his house. So I grew up seeing this. I'm used to seeing things like this, but it's a little busy. But you have, and actually I'm going to show you a card that uses this on Friday when we do our Facebook Live on Friday morning at 10 o'clock Central that uses this sheet. We're going to use this backside. But then we have all these gorgeous pieces of wood textures background paper, and it is beautiful. So I know this has been in our catalog. This is its second year, so my heart is a little nervous that this might be discontinued. I really hope not, but it might be. So, you know, they don't usually keep paper around for more than a year, and they did keep this now. This is going on 2 years, but I love it. I use it all the time. So just grab a scrap of that, and I have a little bit of a lighter look here. And we are going to be stamping the cake stand. So we're going to take the cake stand, ink it up with early espresso. I'm going to flip this over. And we need 2 of them because we need one for the inside panel of our card, and we also need one for the outside panel. So I'm stamping 2 cake stands. Then I'm just going to go in here with my punch, and we'll just punch those out. So there's the first one. And let's get that second one punched out. Thanks everyone for joining me today. It's so great to have you here. You're all making such nice comments, and I really appreciate it. And telling me what you love, and Deb's telling me she has a lot of the different layering ovals, circles. So that is a really good deal, those layering things. All right. So we have our 2 cake stands. Now we also need to stamp a cake. So here is a piece of scrap shimmery white, and we are going to take the cake that has all this chocolate dripping down on it. We're going to ink it up in our early espresso, and we are going to stamp it right here. Fantastic. Okay, now, if I had it, I would also stamp a little heart right here. But my heart is in the Stamparatus on one of the plates to use on the inside panel of our card. So I did stamp this in advance. Let's see if I can find it. I've got it right here. But what you would do next is you would take your markers. So I've got an early espresso marker, and using the fine tip, you can get in and color these very skinny little drips of chocolate. I'll just do a couple here, but the skinny end of the marker works so fantastic for this. And so again, this is our early espresso marker out of our neutrals pack. And then you would also color that little heart in with a real red marker that's in our, they moved it. It used to be in Brights, but it's now in our Regals marker pack. And so that's where the real red is. All right, so I'm going to show you here what I did. So I did prepare this in advance because it does take a little time to color this if you want to do a really good job. And of course I did because I'm going to be sending this card to one of you. So now I'm going to punch out the cake. And I'm just going to set that in the little cake punch here. And there it is. There's our cute little cake punch out. And then we need to fussy cut that heart. So let me grab a scissors here. Oh, somebody's telling me they don't use their layering framelits as much as they should and that I've inspired them. Thank you, Bonnie, for sharing that. I think it's just such a good idea to get that big shot out and really take advantage of using it, because we have so many wonderful products that coordinate with different stamp sets, and of course the layering framelits and circles for circles and ovals. I mean, they can coordinate with almost any stamp set, so they're really versatile. So as you can see, I am fussy cutting here. Not my favorite job, but I can do it on occasion. So there it is, a cute little heart that we just fussy cut. So I think I have all my pieces here and everything that I need to start assembling. So let me just double check. Yes, I do. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little bit more gluing. So now we're going to glue this piece of wood textures. Now, some of you have the wood textures, and I've heard this common complaint, and that is, oh, there's a couple of really dark woods in there, and I don't know how to use those. Well, here's your idea, ladies and gentlemen. This is the wood textures paper, and it's the really dark wood, and it looks really cool with the real red and the cherry cobbler, and it just makes it look super rich and awesome. So we're going to use a 3 by 3 3/4 panel of that dark wood from the Wood Textures paper pack. And then we're going to layer that onto a 3 by 4 inch real red panel. So the only thing that you're going to see from this panel is a little bit of the top and a little bit of the bottom sticking out. So I'm just going to take my glue here, and we'll just put a little strip all the way around, and we're going to layer this just like so, and then we're going to wiggle it into place so that the top and the bottom have just the tiniest little bit of bright real red peeking out. It's going to look nice on our card. All right, now let's see. The next thing we want to do is get our little cake and heart and cake stand onto this cardstock vellum circle. And I'm going to share with you that you do not want to use glue on this, because what happens is when you use glue on our cardstock vellum, or really probably almost any vellum, it causes the vellum to pucker. You also want to be careful that you don't get a drop of coffee on there. Or just ask me how I know. Or, you know, if you're spritzing with your Brush-O, make sure you don't spritz across the table and get any water on here, because it just causes it to pucker up. So that doesn't look very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our handy dandy Stampin' Up! Silicone craft sheet, because this is the other thing I love about this craft sheet is I like using it because glue and adhesives don't stick on it. So I'm going to take one of these cake stands, and we are just going to put a little bit of snail over the top, and I'm doing it so that I'm using it over the top of this, because if I did it on my work surface, then I would have sticky glue everywhere. So I use the craft sheet as a way to just keep the adhesive right where I want it on this cake stand. Then we're going to bring this, and no glue sticks to this. There's no glue on this craft sheet. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take this cake stand, we're going to put it onto our vellum circle like this, so that it's just at the bottom of the vellum circle. See? Perfect. Then we're going to take this cake here that we have prepared and punched out, and again, we're just going to add a little bit of our snail adhesive to the back of it. And we're just going to set it right directly on top of the cake stand. Perfect. And then we're going to take this little tiny heart, and we're going to grab, I have some glue dots here, some mini glue dots. I'm just going to stick that heart onto a mini glue dot. And then we can take that heart and we'll put it right here on top of our cake. There we go. So we have a cute little cake with a heart on the top. All right, so now let's go ahead and continue piecing this all together. We're going to take our snail, add it to the back of our Happy Birthday You Sweet Thing. We're going to set this so that it's about, oh, I don't know, 3/4 to 1/2 of an inch up from the bottom of the wood textures. or not 3/4, I would say 1/4 to 1/2 inch, probably 3/8 of an inch. That's right in between those two measurements. All right, then press that down, and then you're going to take this little piece, going to flip it over, and you're just going to put glue where you, or not glue, but the adhesive right where you won't see it. So basically behind the cake. Then you're going to set this right in the middle again on top of that sentiment panel and press down, and there it is. Look at that cute panel. So now all we have to do is flip it over and add some dimensionals. I'm going to grab my dimensionals here. And it's such a cute card. I just love it. So we're gonna, and this is actually my swap card for my downline in December. So we had a lot of swap cards. I'm hoping to place the swap card information on my blog, which is www.stampingtoshare.com. Hoping to put that up on Wednesday. I have some very talented downlines, so it's always fun to share what they're up to. Then you're just going to set this in here so that the left side, the right side, and the top are all about even. So that means there's going to be a little bit bigger of a gap at the bottom. But that's okay, because we're going to add a ribbon there, and that ribbon is going to come down and balance that all out. So I pre-tied a bow with our real red cotton ribbon, which is going to be the giveaway. And I'm just going to add a little glue dot to it. And then we're going to set this right here. Right, you really want to put it kind of right at the edge. So right where this red part and where this wood texture meet. Because otherwise the bow kind of covers up the sentiment. It's okay to cover up the sentiment just a little bit, but you don't want it to cover it up too much. But you still want it to be lifted up, so that's why you put it right there. You don't want to put it below. But there it is, the card, and it looks so lovely. So now let's finish it off, the inside panel. So to make the inside panel, we're going to be getting our Stamparatus out. And so here we're going to be using a shimmery white panel that's 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm going to get my Stamparatus out. And of course I have it in the really pretty Stamparatus bag. That's where I store my Stamparatus. For those of you that don't have this bag and you do stamp away from home as I do, this bag is absolutely wonderful because it holds all your supplies. So I've got my Stamparatus in here. I've got my, there's a little perfectly sized grid paper for the Stamparatus, so that can go in here. You can even put some card pieces in here. And then of course there's you can order extra plates now. So if you have several projects going, you can set your stamps up on plates in advance before you even leave home. So that's pretty nice. And then of course I have the Stamparatus. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. I have my chamois right here where I clean my stamps, and I also use that when I'm working with my Stamparatus because it keeps it level when I'm inking up. All right, so let me show you how I do this. So I did go ahead and let me get all this out of the way. I did go ahead and I set up my stamps in advance, okay? So we are just going to go ahead and do some stamping with the Stamparatus. So what I was saying about the chamois is I like having the chamois over here because it keeps it nice and level. When you have your chamois in a clear block case, it's the perfect size for resting your Stamparatus on the other side. The other thing that I've started doing is I keep a couple of scrap papers with my Stamparatus. I put one scrap paper below what I'm inking up and one scrap paper above what I'm inking up. That way when I ink up, just like this, I'm not getting ink all over my plate. I'm just getting a little bit of ink on the scrap paper. Then what we're going to do is put our shimmery white right here. And I forgot to grab a magnet, so let me grab a magnet. You only want to bring out one magnet at a time, so I'll just set that there. And now, with this all inked up, I'm just going to go like this. Hope this year is a piece of cake, is what it says. Oh, and it didn't work, so let me do that again. Oh my goodness, I don't know what I did wrong. Maybe I don't have my layers quite right. All right, so I'm inking it up again. And again, most of the ink is going on here, so it's not all over my plate. And I think I'm going to move my magnet down. Maybe that was the problem. All right, so I'm inking it up again. This time I'm pressing a little bit harder. There. I pressed a little too hard because I was like, what? I'm having a perfect day. How could I not stamp that sentiment perfectly? So the cake is quite emphasized because I pressed a little too hard. But now we'll go to the other side. So we'll just flip the plate. And again, I just bring my scrap papers in here. I take my ink, I ink it up. And again, the ink is going on the scrap paper, not all over my plate, which I appreciate, because the thing is, you can have ink on your plate. It's not a big deal. My problem is I get ink on my hands when the ink is on the plate, and then I get ink on my card. So that is why I've started using scrap paper above and below, just so I'm not constantly getting ink on my hands. I don't know if any of you guys have that problem, but it really bugs me when I get ink all over my project where I don't want it. So now we are stamping the little heart and enjoy every crumb. And that one did perfectly. I'm not sure what I did wrong the first time, but I'm not going to worry about it. So we are going to put the magnet away in the back and bring this out. I'll show you what layers I used. Everybody has different ideas for layering. I keep my instruction. Use it as a layer. I've got the photopolymer layer here, and then I just have a sheet of the grid paper over the top. All right, so I don't like this being inky. I don't want to put it away inky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chamois and I just pull it out of the case and I just press it onto the stamps and it's clean. Then I can flip it over and I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other side here. Just grab the chamois and clean this off. And then I'm ready to go for the next card that I'm going to make, because I'm giving away 2 of these cards. So once this video is done, I'll make another one and I'll give those away on Wednesday for the people who are in my drawing. So to be in the drawing, just comment on this Facebook Live, or, and this works so good, I'm going to do it again, or share it and let me know you've shared. So I'm just going to use some glue, and I'm going to use my silicone mat, because it's just great for this kind of thing. And then we're going to add this little cake stand right underneath. Enjoy every crumb. So cute. And then we're going to take our real red marker, and we're just going to quickly color in that heart. So we want that to match the outside heart. So I'm using the fine tip end. I probably could have gotten away with using the bigger end, but being I'm on video and being this is going to somebody, one of you, I don't want to mess it up. And I think it's easy when I'm nervous and my fingers are shaking to kind of mess it up. But that looks pretty good. So I just used the fine tip end. If I wasn't on video, I would have been just fine using the fatter end. Now we're going to take this and put it onto our card. So I'm just going to add a little snail to the back. We're going to take our card, we're going to open it up and put it right here. There we go. And we're done. We did it. Now I didn't decorate the envelope on this particular video, so I will have to do that when I drop it in the mail for you. I didn't bring an envelope over here to decorate. Probably I would add a couple of little hearts and color them in. It's probably what I would do for my envelope. So let me get everything out here that I did. So we've got these cards, and then we've got these cuties over here. So there we are with everything that we did today. So I truly appreciate you guys for stopping in today, for watching the video with, and for making comments and sharing. I just appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. I'll be back on Friday, and I'll be working with the Lasting Lily stamp set. So if you'd like to see that, that is one of our celebration cards. And so if you'd like to join me Friday morning at 10 o'clock is when I'll next be back. And you can always find me at www.stampingtoshare.com or over on Facebook at Stamping to Share. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.